It's like we're healthcare workers for a reason. We want to care for other people. We
Exactly.
care about them, and so we always think about ourselves kind of last.
Exactly. And I try to remind myself, like, I'm a person before I'm a nurse.
Yes. Hey, it's Travis, the Indeed nurse.
And I'm Raquel, Chief Nursing Officer of Gales.
Welcome to Game On. So you are the Chief Nursing Officer at Gales, right?
Yes.
So like, what does that mean? What do you do?
I do a lot of partnerships connecting community. It's actually a really fun job. I know traditionally in hospitals, Chief Nursing Officers that was a great job, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was seamless. You should become a surgeon now. Yeah, so a lot of community building, but really, essentially, I am there for the customer, the nurse at the end of the day.
How would you say that the healthcare environment impacts safety?
There's so many ways that your body is impacted, and that should equal safety in someone's head. Like, is my body being safe in the way that I'm moving? We don't think about that a lot just because of the environment that we're working in. It's really easy to get caught up in helping somebody else, especially when that's your whole life and career. But I think that's how we have to rewire safety in our heads.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
When someone's looking for a job, how would they know what safety concerns might even arise in that kind of job? Like what the risks and hazards of the job are?
Whenever you are in your like interviewing phase for a job, asking those important questions, like what is the ratio on this unit? How many patients at a time am I going to have? What kind of support is here? And then if it's an answer you don't like, you don't have to go there. I do think
that's a really good call out.
Yeah,
just because it like seems like normal and is as normal as they want to make it sound.
That was a long time coming, but I got it.
If you had to narrow down safety into like 3 words, what would it be?
Advocacy, because we mentioned that a couple times.
That's a good one.
Support.
Okay.
And resources? Is that kind of like support?
No, I think it's different. Because like you could physical support, being there with you to like help you figure out how to use resources, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. What about safety hacks? Do you have any safety hacks you could share with us?
Ultimately, I would say leaning on your coworkers is probably my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
It's so important to have a team that's tight-knit, but especially when you do need to prioritize safety, because for example, you move patients a lot, especially when you're working with adults.
Yep.
And you always need a second hand to do that.
Yep.
And so making sure that you follow through with that rather than, oh, everyone's busy, I'm just gonna do it myself.
Oh God, how many times have you done that? Talking about safety, if you had to pick a mascot for safety, what would it be and why?
Well, it's funny you mention that, Travis, because I have a mascot right here. It's the Gale shoe.
Look at that.
Yes, and the reason why I say this is a safety mascot is because Gales are there to support you for all of your needs for healthcare workers. They're antimicrobial, so they keep you safe preventatively, but also with your body. They make sure that you aren't feeling hurt after a long shift. They're also slip resistant, so you won't fall.
And they look like they don't get blood or guts inside of them.
They do not, so
Nice.
it's safety in that way.
What do you think is something that a new nurse could do to really start to build that focus on their safety?
I honestly really believe in the power of listening to your elders. I had such great preceptors, I have to say, and they really were so important. They were very thorough about this is the best way to get from A to Z. I think for new grads, absorbing as much of that information as possible, but then also being truthful and very blunt in questions and asking like...
Honesty is key when you don't know.
Yeah, being very honest. But it was also safety for yourself, like making sure you chart every detail. So safety in that way.
Yeah. Protecting
yourself, your license.
Yeah.
Just knowing what resources to tap into is important.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, I guess I'll go again. Ooh, I didn't get the heart, so I had to put that over there. So far, like, are you creeping up
I
on
think
me?
I'm winning.
Oh, you are winning.
How much do you have?
I only have 600. You are 200 ahead of me.
Yeah, I have $800 now.
No matter where you're working as a healthcare provider, you have so many competing priorities, right? So you have your safety, your patient's safety, even sometimes your family's safety. How do you bring safety into the mix of that? And how do you prioritize safety in all of those different competing priorities?
You're right, there are competing priorities, and
rib drop.
Beautiful. But like knowing like what is the most important, but putting yourself at the center of that every time.
Yep.
You are a person first and you're a nurse second, so.
I really like that. I really like that. Wow, just like wow. okay?
What can I say? I'm kind of a big deal.
Chill out, okay? You didn't have to like bury me like this. Gosh.
I'm the underdog. I was losing at first, and it came up.
I literally got one, and you have like a whole stack. I want a rematch. So we're gonna have to do it over again. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Raquel, for joining me today.
Thank you.
It's been great. We'll see you next time, maybe, if you're willing to come back and play with me again.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching Game On. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you later.